Hey everybody, welcome back to Backyard Blue. Just two brothers talking sports and whatever else comes our way. I am brother number one by birth order anyway. That's me, Blake Miller, Mr. Miller. My mama calls me Moose. Brother number two is on the other side of the screen. That is my brother from the same mother. He is Hunter Borland, Hunter, the hunt daddy, the head hunter. And my daughter calls him Hump. Hump, what's happening, man?
Not a whole lot. It's been a while, huh?
Oh, yeah. Been a
We
little
we
while.
just we went through the whole off season. We
I
actually
know,
got an
right?
off season, right?
We're not going to cover all that stuff, but maybe we'll hit on it a little bit. But yeah, we gave ourselves a little bit of an off season. Had a baby. Nothing too
Yeah,
big.
nothing serious.
Nothing too big.
Temporary
So
thing.
yeah. Well, I don't know about that. Well, anyway, we talked about it a little bit ago, so we kind of missed doing that. Wanted to kind of get back into it, and we figured the start of NFL season was going to be a great time to do that. So today we're going to be previewing the AFC East division. We're going to start with that, and we're going to be doing a few different episodes. We'll be previewing the NFL season using team win totals gathered from Fanduel Sportsbook. And we're going to give you our over-under picks, kind of tell you what we expect from the different teams in the NFL. We'll go division by division. We'll give you those picks and kind of tell you what our confidence is in each of those picks. And then we'll give you any kind of division winner bets we like, if there are any on the board. So today's preview is going to be the AFC East division. And let's get right into it. We're going to start with the lowest win total and work our way up. So we're going to start with the New York Jets. Man, just right off the top, what's your take on the Jets, man?
Rookie quarterback was Zach Wilson. Who knows what he played at BYU, and who knows if he's as good. He kind of popped on the scene. He was good the year, I think his junior or maybe sophomore year, whatever it was, but wasn't like a Heisman Trophy candidate or anything like that. And then he really burst on the scene and played awesome for BYU. They were good, and I think they had an upset. I forget against who last year, but it's until the Jets prove that they can win. I mean, it's just the same old Jets, and they're a fun crowd. I actually got to go to a Jets home game against the Giants. And it's a fun crowd. They're a cool tailgate scene and whatnot. But yeah, until they can prove they can win, I'm not so confident in the Jets.
And I just want to give everybody the totals that they have for them. FanDuel had the over/under set at 6. So if you push on that, you're going 6-11 with the new 17-game season. Their division title odds are plus 1,600. So 16-1 odds to win the division.
There's
long odds.
Zero chance.
It could be 30-1 and I wouldn't take it. It could be 100-1 and I wouldn't take it.
That division's tough. I mean, you got the Patriots are going to be good. We'll talk about them in a little bit. They're going to be good. The Bills, obviously, Dolphins have played good the past couple of years. Yeah. And the Jets, they just have. I mean, who do they have?
Well, I think about their offense, and I think that their offense is going to be better. But I mean, I do think that there's a path to success for them. But success for them would be winning 6 to 7 games. You think about it. Last year they were 2-14, which gave them the number 2 overall pick. So they don't have to do much to improve. They did get a little better at the end of the season, but they're bringing in a new coach. They got a new defensive scheme. I do think the defensive scheme is going to be better. Their weakness on the defensive end is their secondary. Like, it's Marcus May, and like me and you might get a call to play free safety, to play another position in the defensive backfield for them. I don't know if you know who Carl Lawson is, but he was brought in as a big free agent acquisition, and he I believe tore his Achilles, is out for the season. So
was he from Clemson? Is that the right? It may not be.
Let me look.
I remember a Lawson, I think, that played at Clemson that was a beast that maybe got drafted. I may be making this all up as well, but
you never know. He went to Auburn. I think
okay.
He was on one of those Auburn teams that had this great defensive line. Maybe was he on the team with Nick Fairley? Maybe, possibly. I don't know. But he came from the Bengals. He was really good with the Bengals. And I think he was going to be a big addition. They were kind of counting on him as being, Robert Saleh's scheme with the 49ers was about getting pressure. And you didn't need to have an excellent secondary. If you got pressure, you were going to be okay. And I think he was going to be the focal point of getting that pressure. You had, Quentin Williams, who should be taking a big step forward. And And they've got a couple other guys on the defensive line that are at least decent. They brought in Sheldon Rankins. Vinny Curry's, he's okay, whatever. Just a guy. After losing Carl Lawson, I don't think he's like a huge difference maker, but I have a hard time believing their defense is going to stop anybody. I do think their offense is going to be a lot better. They added Corey Davis, and I've never been a huge Corey Davis guy, but you add him along with Jamison Crowder. They added Keelan Cole. You've got Denzel Mims, hopefully who'll have another year of development, along with Elijah Moore, the guy they drafted out of Ole Miss. They got an exciting receiving core. The line should be a little better. There's a path to them winning 7 to 8 games. A path. But I wouldn't take it. I
just don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, if Wilson's great, then, but what rookie quarterback has been – when was the last really good rookie quarterback to actually win games? Robert Griffin III? They come in and take a team to the playoffs, and he kind of changed the way – he was on the kind of the forefront of the way the game's changed now, running around, throwing the ball a little bit. So I don't see it, but I don't think you do either. I think we both have under here, but it's I think they're right at that 5-6 games.
I wanted to point something out, and this was I was listening to a Pro Football Focus podcast the other day, and they mentioned this, and I went back and looked at it, and it's like every quarterback who is good on a rookie contract, not just their rookie year, but in a rookie contract, has a good offensive line and a good receiving core. I think he's got the makings of a good receiving core, and I think he's got an he's got a below average offensive line. There's a path to it being good if Mekhi Becton takes a step forward. They brought in Morgan Moses from Washington, he's a decent NFL starter. And I could see it, but I feel like a lot has to break their way to hit 7 wins or 8 wins. After Mahomes, I love Patrick Mahomes. We know that. I'm going to bring him up all the time just because I can. But at the time that he was drafted, I wasn't happy with the pick. So I guess what I've learned is that I don't know anything about the NFL draft. So if a team is in love with a guy, I can't, because I didn't like Patrick Mahomes, I feel like
there's a reason they're in love with a guy.
Yeah, exactly. So if the Jets were in love with Zach Wilson, maybe Zach Wilson is awesome. I don't know, but it's too big of a question mark to just say he's going to be awesome right away. I think it's an easy under for me. I think this is one of my highest levels of confidence on the entire board in an under. I think a lot has to break the right way for them to get to 7 wins. Are you on the under as well? You said.
I wish it was 6.5. Yeah, if it was 6.5, I'd really be no doubt, put a bet on it. The 6 is just hard because it's so easy. You could see a push, especially with the 17-game season. Winning 6 games is kind of obviously winning 5 previously. So, and most teams don't go 2-15 or what will be 2-15 or 3-14. I mean, the NFL is so close in talent that 6-game win mark isn't that far away. Just a couple breaks here and there. But yeah, I think the safest bet is an under. Like I said, if it was 6.5, I'd be very, very confident to go under. But I'm still this is one I'm betting to go under 6.
And I'm fine with the whole number because it's 6 gives me a push. And I just don't see him going 7 and 10. I just think it's too close to I think a lot has to break right for them. They may figure it out later in the season, but they start off pretty tough. They're at the Panthers, Patriots at home, at the Broncos. I don't think the Patriots the Panthers are that good, but you're probably going to lose that game on the road in Zach Wilson's first game. Patriots at home, it's probably a loss. At the Broncos, probably a loss. Titans at home, probably a loss. At the Falcons, who knows? But I would say probably a loss there as well. So you're thinking about starting 0-5. You're just hoping you get one of those, maybe 2. It's tough sledding from there. And they've got their schedule is not super difficult, but when you're the Jets, every schedule is difficult. All right, let's move on to the next.
Their division is going to be a pretty tough division.
I agree. That's another good point. You're going to have 6 games against the division. What do you think they go in?
How many are you going to win out of the 6 in the division? 1 and 5? Yeah, 1 and 5. So now you're
lucky to get 1 and 5.
We're on the same page there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to the next highest projected win total, and that is the New England Patriots, who have a projected win total of 9 according to Fanduel. The odds to win the division for them are plus 360. So bet 100, win 360 on them. The Patriots are an interesting team. Last year, we think about it being such a bad year. They were still 7-9. You know, it was a terrible year by New England standards, but they were still 7-9. I want to hear your take on the New England Patriots. What do you think about them, the 2021 version of the New England Patriots?
So I think I don't know how Bill Belichick does it. I mean, he basically, I think if there was a clone of like body type and the mental aspect of what Tom Brady was coming out of college, it's Mac Jones. Higher regarded coming out of college than Tom Brady was. But he completed, I think, 77% of his passes last year. And people want to talk about how, he's got Devontae Smith and, Jerry Jeudy that he's stoned to and all these NFL wide receivers. It's like, well, that's what he's going to be throwing the ball to, as NFL wide receivers. Yeah. I understand the window's smaller in college, but he played under Sarkisian, who was with the Falcons before. He runs a pro offense. The big thing was he could get down to his like second and third checks. I heard somebody talking about him versus Cam Newton and how they progress through their receivers. And they're like, Cam Newton's like, all right, first receiver, second receiver, third receiver. And they're like, Matt Jones, like, first guy's not there. Nope. Move the second guy. Nope. Okay, check down. Like, it's just quick. It's quick. He's very fast at it. And they've spent the money, got a decent offensive line, or pretty good offensive line. It looks like they're going back to the old Rob Gronkowski, Aaron Hernandez, 2 tight end. It's like the NFL is going to spread it out, throw the ball as far as you can. And Bill Belichick's like, okay, we're going to put the ball down the middle of the field. We're going to get our tight ends across the middle. We're going to run the ball down your throat, and we're going to play old school football. And I'm going to play defense like he did when he won 3 Super Bowls in the early 2000s. So this is probably my most confident bet is going over. I don't care if it's Cam Newton or Mac Jones playing. This is probably one of my more comfortable bets is going over. I think they go 10-7, 11-6.
I feel like you took the words right out of my mouth on a lot of that stuff. Like, it's one of my most confident bets too. I love the over. It's at 9. I love going over that. It means 9-8. I push, and I feel like 9-8 for them is going to be a disappointment. I mean, after all the additions they made, I was thinking like, hey, they're going to get all these opt-outs back. They really don't get any of those guys. The only guy they get back is Dante Hightower.
Yeah, and he's a beast.
Is great. And I mean, he gave me nightmares as a Chiefs fan. He's a fantastic linebacker, kind of a quarterback of the defense kind of guy. They're getting Kyle Van Noy back, who this is the only place he's ever been any good. He'll be good in this. They're going to be able to creatively create a pass rush. They don't have any one guy who's like, oh, he's a great pass rusher. He's a dominator inside or up front. But I think they know how to create it, and they have guys that are good enough to help create that pass rush. Stephon Gilmore just had a terrible season.
He's
by
still
his
great.
Standards.
Yeah.
But the whole team it was a weird season. And it's one of those things like we throw out in fantasy baseball. This is beside the point. I've thrown out 2020 as a year for analysis. Basically, it's a 60-game season. Anything can happen in a 60-game sprint. And I think maybe we should be doing some of the same thing with the NFL, just for the weirdness of the 2020 season. And I don't think many teams had a weirder season than the New England Patriots, and they still managed to go 7-9, and even won.
Cam Newton could not throw the ball.
Yeah, he had a game where he threw for 60 yards and they won. They blew out the Chargers with he throws for 60 yards. He had at least 3 games last year where I know he threw for under 100 yards. Yeah. It's probably more than that.
And they say he's much better being able to actually throw the ball this offseason. And who knows till the game start. But that's why I said I don't care who plays for them, Mac Jones or Cam, which I think it will be Mac Jones by week 6. But it doesn't matter.
Even if it's not, it's okay. This is one of the reasons I feel safe with their floor, because if Cam sucks, Mac Jones is going to be okay. If Mac Jones sucks, Cam Newton's going to be okay. I just feel like one of them is at least going to be okay, and they've got enough talent surrounding them that I think it's going to be they're going to be fine. And their schedule is not super difficult. I think they're going to have a pretty. My guess for them is 11-6, and I feel like 9-8 is the downside. Maybe 8-9, but I feel like if I miss this, I'm missing by one game at 8-9, and things went really south. if that happened.
I'm looking at their schedule. Miami, toss up, but they go Miami, Jets, Saints, Bucks,
2-2,
which is you could see 2-2, and then they go Texans, Cowboys, Jets, Chargers, another 2-2 probably. Panthers, Browns split that. So what are they? 500, 5-5, but then it's Falcons, Titans, Bills, Colts, Bills, Jags, Miami. So I mean, it's not murder's row, and they're going to pick up more there. I mean, the Jets are probably going to beat twice. Dolphins probably split. Bills probably split. But, I just believe in Bill Belichick. I think Belichick's a genius, and he's got much better talent this year than last year. And he was still in the running for the playoffs. And, I don't see how they only go 9-8.
Yeah. I just think I think about games being a 50-50 game, a toss-up game, like you said. Like, you see the Jets on the schedule, you count that as a win. It might not be, but there's a great chance it's going to be a win. There's a lot of the games on there that are 50-50 games, but I feel like they're going to go, win 2/3 of their 50-50 games because of Bill Belichick.
How awesome. What's that, week 4 or 5? What was it? Week 4, Tampa Bay in New England. How much fun is that game going to be? That game may shatter all the regular season records for most watched regular season game of all time. I'm looking forward to that. God, that's going to be fun.
He's going to get a crazy ovation there. You think there's any chance they boo him at all?
So I was listening to
better not
to McAfee, and he's like, he expects him. He said because he was there when Vinatieri went back, when Vinatieri's with the Colts. And he's like, pregame, they're like, Vinny, what's up? We love you, Vinny. Yeah, let's go. Big ovation when he gets introduced. The first time he walks out on the field to kick the ball or field goal or kickoff, they just rained him with boos. So, they'll give him his probably video or whatever. And then it's just going to be just go to hell, Brady.
Yeah, I could totally see that for sure. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm honestly, they are probably my favorite. They're in my top 3 or 4 for bets that I'm actually going to place. I'm also going to place some on their division winning bet at plus 360. I don't necessarily think they win the division, but I feel like there's at least a shot. The Bills' schedule is tough, and I think there's at least a shot they both finish around 11-6, 12-5 maybe. If you get the Bills' downside and the Patriots' upside, crossing paths, it could happen.
If they beat them twice. If you beat them twice, which is more than likely, not more than likely, it's likely to happen. I mean, there's a good chance
at least a possibility.
If the Patriots beat them both games, I mean,
you got a chance.
That's a good one to sprinkle some on.
Yeah, I'm gonna. That's be one of my smaller ones, but I do like that one. It feels too long, too long of odds for that to happen. Let's move on to the next team. That is one of your favorite young quarterbacks in the league. At least he was a couple years ago when he was wearing crimson, and that is Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. Their number is at 9.5. So it's a little higher than the Patriots, and their division winning odds are at plus 330. What's your take on Mr. Tua? What's your feeling about him going into the 2021 season? We're still in 2021, aren't we?
It's been a long year already. Man, I love Tua. I can tell you where I was sitting when he threw that pass in the second half of the national championship game against Clemson in overtime after taking a terrible 13-yard sack. I mean, just the cojones to throw that ball up in the air and just perfect stride. But he does last year. They say he looks more comfortable this year. He looked comfortable in the first preseason game up until he threw the interception in the end zone. But he just didn't look comfortable last year. And I don't know if they were just throttling the offense down. That's kind of was what the thought was they were throttling it back, a lot of underneath stuff, and just not letting him throw the ball. He still throws one of the most pretty balls I've ever seen, just the spiral that comes out, it's beautiful. Yeah. I think their defense is good enough. They got Xavier Howard, and that his name, back to cornerback, Xavier Howard.
He wants to be traded. So we'll see how that plays out.
I thought they re-signed him maybe, or they were working on it, or they came out and said they were going to re-sign or talk, or I think they figured it out for this year anyways.
I hope so.
I'd like to see him awesome. As a Chief, though. I like to see him on the Cowboys. We'll talk about that in another episode because we need all the help we can get back there. But they feel like a team that could be the breakout team of the year, or the most disappointing team of the year.
Yeah.
Like it feels so one or the other with them. Like they're not going to go at that 9-win season. Like it shows 9.5. They're not going to win. Like I feel like they're going to win 12 or they're going to win 7 or 6. Like they're rolling with Tua. And if he looks as uncomfortable as he did last year, it's not going to be, they're not hitting that 9.5.
I feel like you're like reading. I wrote my notes on notebook paper, so you can't see my notes, but I feel like you just said everything that I wrote down. Just about.
I don't have any notes.
I know, right? We're just kind of going from it.
Just spitballing.
I'm on the under here.
I am too. If I didn't make that clear.
Yeah, I'm going to start. I'm just going to start with that. I do not like the plus 330 line for them. I am on the under. And the last thing you said was you can see a huge range of outcomes for them. Mm-hmm. There's a few teams we can see like, okay, they could win 8 or they can win 10. Like you're Dallas is going to be one of those. I feel like I can totally see them winning 9 games. I think this number is a great number. 9.5 is a great number. It's one that made me think about it because I feel like I can totally see them going 12-5, just being the breakout team. Like you said, if Tua is awesome, it's totally possible.
I don't even think he has to be awesome. He just has to be good because their team's good enough around him.
Here's what I think is going to hold them back. It is their offensive line.
Yeah.
Their offensive line is absolutely brutal. You know, they're going to have Jalen Waddle to throw to and Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki. And they brought in Will Fuller. If he's on the field, he's a good receiver. I like the running backs. The skill positions on offense are not a problem if Tua's good. But I just have a hard time believing that Tua's going to be good. Like I said earlier, you need offensive line and pass catchers for guys on their rookie contract. He's got half of that. And we said Wilson needed the O-line. He's got the pass catchers. I think Tua's kind of in a similar boat. And I feel just as confused about Tua as I did about Zach Wilson. I don't know what to expect. When I saw him last year, he even just playing Kansas City, they took Kansas City down to the wire in a game the Chiefs should have put away. But still, when the door opened, they ran through it.
Yep.
And he looked really good in moments in those, but then he'd also had a lot of these turnover-worthy throws. One thing I wanted to point out with Tua, he was dead last in big-time throw percentage last year. Dead last. And he didn't really, like, super take care of the ball either. So I don't know what to think, man. I don't have all the confidence in the world in him. I want to. I like the guy. I think he's a great guy, and I'll root for him if he does well. I'll root for him if he doesn't. I want him to do well, but I just can't take this over. I just can't.
One thing that worries me about Tua, and this was said last year when Mac Jones first started, when it was clear he was going to be the starter last year for Alabama. And I think Sarkisian, it didn't come out of his mouth, but maybe it was like one of his assistants or something like that. And they said with Tua, when he was playing under Sarkisian, they had to throttle back the offense and give him a one-read play. Here's a play fake, hit your first read, maybe get to your second read, and then use your legs.
Yeah.
And then they said when Mac Jones came in, he picked up the offense so much better and they were able to open it up more and run more complex routes and different things because he was able to read the defense. That's the only thing that would worry me with Tua is that not that he can't read defenses, he just can't get through his progression quick enough.
Yeah.
And you saw that last year. It was, my first receiver's not there. Let me just go to the running back or try to get out of the pocket. And he's not faster than defensive ends in the NFL.
Nope.
Like you're going to get chased down and he doesn't protect the ball. He's kind of like Lamar Jackson a little bit, kind of holds it out there when he's in the pocket, with one hand or something like that. And it just takes 1 second of a defensive end getting a hand on it. He did that a lot last year. So I hope I'm wrong because I love Tua. He's, like I said, he throws one of the best balls I've ever seen. It's pretty, and such a nice guy, but it's all on him. Like the whole season of them being really good or really bad is all on him.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I mean, I want him to do well, but you just don't know. And I will say he looked like a guy who didn't know how to react to an NFL defense.
Yeah.
You're throwing to wide open guys at Alabama because you got the best player at every position in the entire country, just about.
Like I said, that window
Yeah.
window closes.
It's a shock
And he does
factor.
have a little bit of a wind up to his release too.
Yeah.
Which is kind of worrisome. It's not as bad, but he does have a little bit of a wind up.
So I am on the under. You said you are as well. It's one I feel like kind of medium confidence in. I do think they're probably going 8-9, 9-8 around that range. But again, you could see the high end, you could see the low end. Who knows?
I'm staying away from it on the as far as betting goes.
I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna bet it at all. The last team in the AFC East and the last team we're going to talk about in this episode is the reigning, defending AFC East champion Buffalo Bills. Their win total sits at 11, and their odds to win the division are at -150. So they're at bet 150 to win 100 at this moment. 11 seems like a difficult number for them. What's your thought? I see you shaking your head, getting the grimace on your face.
It's over.
What do you think?
It's over. I think as a complete team, they're the best built team in the NFL. They don't have Stephon Diggs is great. He's a really good number one receiver.
I love him.
When they get to number 2, number 3 receivers, they lack a little bit. Their running backs aren't very good. So like skill position wise, you put them up against Kansas City or Tampa, who are just, it's like super teams now. It kind of feels like the NBA, like people are just going there and going to stay there to win. But the Bills are just, their offensive line is good. Josh Allen is freaking awesome. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Josh Allen has closed that gap. He closed that gap last year. You know, Mahomes is still going to get better, but Josh Allen still has a ways to get better. And he keeps getting better every year. And their defense is solid. It's hard to play in Buffalo. I know in the NFL, home field advantage isn't like the biggest thing. It's not like college football where home field advantage really gives you a true 3 points, 4 points. Buffalo is one of those places for weather, for the fans. Like they feed off that energy. Me and you played an NFL or a Madden Dynasty like 8 years ago or something like that. And that was the Bills. And I was like, this is just a fun, like, I love their uniforms. I just love the city. Like, it reminds me of Memphis. Jeff Calkins says it's like Memphis, like just blue collar. So it may be a little bit of sentimental way over because I do like them. They're kind of my AFC team. But yeah, let's pound the over. I'm pretty confident in this one. I'll be betting it.
I will say I would take the over, but I don't have nearly as much confidence in you in that over. I would still take it. I have questions about the defense. I don't think they can generate any pass rush. Jerry Hughes feels like he was playing there in 1997, generating pass rush for him. Ed Oliver hasn't really. Their
secondary though is really it saves them a lot where they don't have to have the immediate pass rush.
Yeah, and I think they've gone the route that a lot of teams have gone is, you know, we're talking about Robert Salah earlier with the 49ers, how they build everything around the pass rush. And I think that's kind of been the way of the NFL for a while. But I think the Bills actually built with the secondary in mind. You know, you got Hyde, Poyer, Tre'Davious White, Levi Wallace isn't bad. There's 3 really good members of the secondary, though. And they've got linebackers who can cover. Matt Milano is one of my favorite linebackers in the league. Tremaine Edmonds is not as good as his numbers would indicate.
They're fast linebackers. Sideline to sideline, they're fast. Yeah.
So, but I think they can get by. And the Chiefs did this a few years ago and have done this classically for a while, where if your offense is amazing, which I think Buffalo's offense is really one of the best in the league, your defense just has to be good enough. You don't have to be a top 10 unit. In fact, I think last year was the first time they weren't a top 10 defensive unit in the league under Sean McDermott. I think they're like 18th or overall and something like that. You know, middle of the pack. That's all they have to be, though. If your offense stays
when you're a top 2-3 offense, which they're going to be.
Yeah. That brings you back to the, you know, what you were saying is, I'm a big Josh Allen believer. I don't think he's, you know, the second best quarterback in the league, but I think he's got the second highest ceiling in terms of quarterback. I think it goes Mahomes. You know, if I'm ranking quarterbacks right now, I'm going Mahomes, Rodgers, probably Brady, and then Allen. Like he's in that conversation right after those guys.
I'd say maybe the second best, but like when you account for his
up there,
how he runs the ball.
Yeah.
Like he was the number 1 fantasy quarterback in the league last year.
Wow.
And it wasn't on a bad team. Like they were an awesome team. So it's not just him creating, but he's smart. He knows when to take off. Like I know most of the time number one quarterback in fantasy, but
Yeah,
that's damn impressive
it is
for him.
I love Brian Daboll, the offense coordinator. I think he is, up there in terms of best play callers, and he knows how to use Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So and knows how to use Stephon Diggs.
Where was he at before?
Alabama, wasn't he?
Well, he was somewhere in the NFL, I think, before, and they said he's just like a QB guru. He just knows how to call plays.
Let me look. I did a little research on him yesterday, but I do not know where he was before. I think he was at Alabama before, but I'm not sure.
I like McDermott too. I think he's one of the top head coaches in the NFL too. He's really proven himself. Yeah.
Let's see. He was with Alabama before Buffalo. He was the tight ends coach with the Patriots.
Maybe it was Alabama. I heard that because I heard it on a announce crew, saying like this guy is just the way he calls plays, the way he works with quarterbacks is just genius level.
He's a really good play caller, though. I think that's kind of what he's known for. He's a really good play caller. Now, if their defense is not great and Ed Oliver doesn't take a step forward, and they're just okay, I think that's fine. Fine. I'm okay with that. I think they can still win. I think the downside for them is 10 games. I think the upside is 13 or 14.
I think they could have a Chiefs-like year that the Chiefs had last year or 2 years ago in the regular season.
Look, their schedule was tough.
Last year they kind of sleptwalk. The Chiefs did kind of sleptwalk through like the middle of the year. But I think the Bills are still, even though they proved themselves last year, still are trying to prove themselves.
Yeah.
And I think they want that number one overall seed because they don't want to go to Kansas City and play in the playoffs. They want to play in Buffalo. So I think they're going to try to win in the regular season as much as they can.
The thing I wanted to throw out there was that I think the first 6 games, you're going to have a good feel for this bet 6 games into the season. Because they have the Steelers at home, which should be a win, but you never know. Then you go at Miami. That's a divisional game, so it's a 50-50 game. Then you have Washington at home with Washington's defensive line and their defense being as good as it is. That to me, that's probably a little better than 50-50 game. If the Texans at home, that should be a win. You're at the Chiefs, that's probably a loss. You're at the Titans, you kind of expect that to be a loss. So in your first,
I see them like 5-1.
I think they're like, you're happy with 4-2 at that point.
Yeah.
But even with that, like then your schedule lets up a little bit. And you go Dolphins at Jags at Jets. You should be able to kind of make up some ground. But like you can talk about, they could be 5-1 after that. They could be 2-4.
Yeah.
Like I don't. So if they go 2-4 out of the gate, or even 3-3, then you're not feeling very comfortable with this bet. So I'll
be like Aaron Rodgers, RELAX, relax.
And they'll still make the playoffs. And I think they are one of the better teams, but I think they're more in that, kind of what we thought of the Ravens a couple of years ago, maybe even last year. We're like, oh, the Ravens are going to be the second best team and, be a real elite team in the AFC. I want to be very clear, in my opinion, and I know I'm biased with it. I think there's one elite team in the AFC, and then there's a step down. And I think the Bills are the class of that step down, but it's a significant drop from 1 to 2. In my opinion, we'll see if that stays that way. That this
we'll
year,
see
based
him
on
week 4, week 5. We'll get to see
week 5
week 5.
City. I may need to go to that game. We'll see. I'm interested in this team. I think it's another one where they could go. They could be. I could see them going 13-4. I could see them. I think the downside for them is 10-7. I mean,
yeah.
So there's more upside than there is downside. So I'll take the over, but I don't feel like awesome about it. 12-5 is going to be tough to get to with the tough games they have. It's really.
I think they're like the third. They're the third best team in the NFL. In my mind, they're the third best team. I think it goes Chiefs, Bucks are the 2 best teams. I think they're pretty close, and then a little bit of a drop off, maybe a decent drop off, and then I think it's like the Bills, Packers. Like then there's a little group there, but I just think they're really good.
Yeah,
and I think Josh Allen's one of those guys that. He'll just win games like that Cam Newton MVP year. He's like that. He'll win games on his own. He doesn't take the big hits that Cam took either.
I'm a firm believer, and I know we always talk about one of the points you like to make about Mahomes when we talk about him is like he's better because he has Andy Reid, but that doesn't discredit him. It just says he has Andy Reid. You take this great, talented quarterback who has Andy Reid
and give him the best.
It makes him better. And I think Josh Allen's kind of in the same boat where it's nice that, there's some conversation about Brian Daboll getting a head coaching job this offseason. And I think it's really good for Josh Allen that he's still there. I think Daboll and him have good chemistry. He's got a good connection with Diggs. I just think it's one of those things where the marriage with the coordinator, the coach, the receivers feels right. The offensive line.
Yeah.
I think he's awesome. I'm a big fan of Josh Allen, unless he's playing the Chiefs, which I would honestly expect to see this being the AFC Championship game this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something else, but I would expect the Chiefs and Bills to be in the AFC title game.
I just expect them to, because they know they don't want to go to Kansas City, whereas Kansas City, I think, kind of feels like we can win. Our offense travels. We can win anywhere. We don't care where we play. Where you saw it last year. They still went 14-2 last year, the Chiefs.
Yeah,
but they could have lost 5 games.
Yeah. Well, they have a streak of like 9 straight weeks they didn't cover.
They just didn't look good. And I think when you go to the Super Bowl, year in and year, it kind of reminds me of LeBron when he was going to the finals every year in the East. Like after the Heat, they were hovering around 2nd or 3rd seed in the East, but it wasn't like he was giving it all he's got in the regular season. Yeah. I think the Bills are going to have that little bit of motivation where maybe they squeak out a couple games where they could have lost or whatever. But yeah, I'm taking the over. I think 12, 13 wins is where they're going to be.
And their schedule is not easy enough that they can coast. They have to play their tails off. They have to.
Yeah.
Like there's no way around it. They have to play
a good
hard.
Thing.
Or I think it'll work for them as well.
I'm excited for the next few years where I feel like this is like the Colts Patriots in the early 2000s, like 2002 to 2010. Yeah. Of where you got the 2 best quarterbacks in the league battling and for the top seed in the playoffs. I just think it's going to be fun for like the next 5 or 6 years.
We need to get Josh Allen in some commercials. That's what we need. Get him in a State Farm commercial with Patrick. That'd be all right with me. But we didn't disagree at all on these, did we?
Yeah,
we're pretty much lockstep. All right, that's not much for fun for a fun podcast.
Oh,
but
so who do you think? So you got the Bills winning the East, but at -150 is, and then we're doing this on August 19th, so the odds may change a little bit, but -150, I'm staying away from it. It's not good enough odds. I think they win the division. Maybe sprinkle a little bit on the Patriots, but that's not worth the bet at all.
I'm doing the Patriots. If I'm taking anything, I honestly am taking I'm going to bet on the Patriots to go over, and I'm going to bet on the Patriots to win the division. It's not me. I don't have a lot of conviction behind them, but I just think the odds are too good to ignore. So I will bet the Patriots +360. I will bet the Patriots over. That's probably all I'm bet. I will bet the Jets under too. Now with Carl Lawson being out, if I can still get it at 6 or even 6.5. I will take that under as well. So Jets under, Patriots over, Patriots +360 for the division for me. What's your ticket for the AFC?
I'm going for sure Patriots over. I think that's probably going to be the only one I bet on. I may go Jets under, but I feel way more comfortable with the Patriots going over. The only other thing I was going to look at, I was trying to pull it up while we were sitting here, was Josh Allen MVP.
What's his odds for that?
That's what I was trying to find is what it might be. That's total passing yards, season awards. +13, +1,300 on FanDuel.
That's pretty cool.
Mahomes +500, Rodgers +1,000, Brady +1,200, Josh Allen +1,300, Dak Prescott +1,500, and Lamar Jackson +1,700. But they could have the best record in the AFC, and if they do, he'll win MVP because it'll be because of him, and he'll have 6, 7, 8 rushing touchdowns. He'll throw for 35. If they're the number 1 seed in the AFC, I don't see how he's not the MVP.
If I was placing an MVP bet on someone not named Patrick Mahomes, I think Josh Allen would be my guy. I don't see anybody else I would really place it on at this moment. I think it would be Josh Allen. Maybe Dak Prescott.
I'll go,
but
Dak could get it if
I know your feelings about him.
If they go like 11-6, 12-5, just because of the story, he could win it because of the story. But no, Josh Allen's the safer bet on between those two. He's not a safe bet. Mahomes is probably going to win it because if they're the number 1 seed in the AFC and he plays awesome again, those 50 touchdowns, Yeah, he's winning it, but
I think he's going to play so mad too. Like,
but Josh Allen, that's a good bet because he's gonna put up outrageous numbers.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up our show for today. That wraps up our AFC East predictions. We will also be recording our NFC East predictions pretty soon. And stay tuned for our other divisions as well. Looking forward to doing some more shows. Hump, you got anything before we get out of here?
No, we're gonna bombard you guys with 8 episodes in the next, I don't know, week or so. And then we may I hadn't talked about it yet, but we do some college football stuff, maybe like a little throw in some bets, even if it's not on here, but maybe throw some out there for week to week college football bets. Because 2 weeks from the night is college football. Ohio State plays Minnesota. And 3 weeks from tonight, the Dallas Cowboys walk in the Tampa Bay Gronkaneers, as Patrick McAfee likes to say, are going to get their tails whipped on Thursday Night Football. I'm so pumped.
We got
football. Awesome. Only one more week of no football.
Ava's excited because she's into that song "Bad Habits" from Ed Sheeran, and Ed Sheeran is opening up for the kickoff game. So I might get her to watch a little football with me too.
And tomorrow night, to throw in non-football, CM Punk returns to AEW in Chicago in front of like 20,000 people. Let's go.
This will be the beginning of me watching AEW full time.
Yep.
All right.
All aboard.
CM Punk. See you guys soon. Thanks for listening.